is definitely a proponent of drill baby drill. Gingrich could, if he were to win the presidency, very possibly act exactly like the Bush administration,
right,
and open everything back up again,
right,
because he absolutely believes that way we resolve the energy crisis is to drill everything and everywhere.
So this is our window to get it preserved.
And so it would be very nice if we could get it put into a permanent marine reserve during the Obama years.
Right.
But the focus of the battle now
is more
on the Pebble Mine. There's no doubt about it.
I read that you feel allowing this mine to be built is trading a dangerous extraction industry for a very valuable clean food source. I thought that was put so well, so eloquently.
Well, I personally believe that clean food and water within the next decade are going to become national security issues, and that we are going to, if not have, wars visiting our doorstep, we are going to see other countries at war with each other over clean food and water. And we would be foolish, given especially the BP spill in the Gulf, which impaired our other greatest fishery this last year. We would be foolish to allow this to happen in Bristol Bay, which may be now the cleanest and largest fishery left on the planet.
Right.
And we would also be wise to manage the American or United States claimed resource of the Bering Sea, because there's that 200-mile statute,
right,
which takes up most of the Bering Sea if you measure it from our border,
right,
because it's not even 200 to get over to Russia. I'm sure the Russians have something to say about this, but if you were to consider the Bering Sea as within our territorial limits,
right,
the management of the Bering Sea fishery and the northern Arctic Ocean's fisheries and Bristol Bay, which is the southern component of that, may be the last clean food fisheries resource left on the planet.
Wow.
Of this scale.
Wow.
We would be really stupid to kiss that off.
I agree.
And
that was you said that so well. I mean, it just really puts everything into perspective.
Well, I think, people who may even be listening to this are going, yeah, we hear about these kinds of things all the time, but when is it that water is really going to become a scarce resource, Most people don't know this, but while the corporations that manage oil and gas have us frightened about rising oil and gas prices and the loss of those things impairing our industrial economies, they're out there with their subsidiary corporations now starting to buy up all the freshwater resources on the planet. And the Indian corporations have now contracted with the city of Sitka, Alaska, to buy the water out of Blue Lake, which they're putting into cleaned super tankers that used to ship oil around. And they're now shipping super tankers full of fresh Alaskan water to India, where it's being bottled and sold to the Indians, because the Indians are running out of fresh water to drink.
Wow.
So this is the future of where fresh water is going.
Yes,
and
you're right. Food and water.
Americans who turn on their tap water and get it for free or for very little are spoiled beyond imagination. And you could well see water prices exceeding gas and oil prices in our lifetimes.
Wow. Whoever thought? I'm curious, with Sarah Palin's recent TV show, Sarah Palin's Alaska, which I've watched, which is about the beauty of the Alaskan region. She's going out and climbing the glaciers and fishing, and the grizzly bears are fighting in the water. And she's named her daughter after Bristol Bay, Bristol. I'm curious what her stance is on the issue. Do you know?
Well, first of all, don't mistake that Sarah Palin's show is about the beauty of Alaska, because her makeup trailer was just off camera, and Sarah Palin's show is always about Sarah Palin. Okay, so first off, it was about Sarah Palin's
Well, I just mean what I saw.
Did you notice that when she was, the day she was doing the thing with the shotgun,
she looks great all the time.
She had perfect fingernails.
Yes.
Okay, so let's be very clear about what Sarah Palin's shows are about. But beyond that,
I have makeup on too, and I care about this stuff.
I realize that. This is a woman's prerogative, but Sarah Palin is about Sarah Palin first and foremost. This is a narcissist. It's not even a politician. This is a narcissist who's just making a lot of money using her good looks and her political point of view.
Well, it makes me very sad to think that, her living there and having a show like this, talking about how incredible it is to live in Alaska and how beautiful it is, and then not fighting for this.
Right. And since you asked the position about the mine, all I can tell you is that there was a clean water initiative on the ballot while she was still governor, and was running up to the election that actually had, you know, the Lisa Murkowski contestation in it and some of the other things that went down. In that election, there was a clean water initiative that would have basically shut down the Pebble Mine. And Palin wouldn't choose a position on the initiative until 4 days before the election, and then she came out against it, and the initiative lost.
Okay.
So that was a chance to step up as governor.
So that basically tells you where she stands.
That was a chance to step up as governor and make a difference, and she chose not to.
It's not something that she cares about.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, she resigned her governorship. So I frankly, anybody that believes she's a politician would be foolish. You know, do you really want to put somebody in the political office of the United States who halfway through their term says, you know what, I want to go back to TV?
No, but that was just a very natural question, don't you think?
Yeah.
Even the audience would wonder, gee, I wonder, you know,
why wouldn't she step up here?
You named your child after this area.
Yep.
You're one of the founders of ILCP, the International League of Conservation Photographers. Are other photographers in that group involved with trying to prevent this Pebble Mine?
Well, there aren't a lot of us working out there. We come from all over the world. We have Chinese members, we have South American members, we have European members, we have Indian members, and we have a lot of North American members. But you know, we're all working on different things. I mean, we have people that are working on climate change. We have I'm obviously working on, you know, Bristol Bay right at the moment. But
how great that you're, you know, put together this type of an organization.
Well, you know, when I started all of this, my publisher, Aperture at the time, said that they thought that I was the first photographer who had turned picture books, coffee table picture books, into advocacy tools, and that I had corrupted coffee table publishing. And this is back in the early 80s. And if you really think about it, at that time, a picture book was just that. It was a picture book.
Right.
And you had people doing picture books about national parks, and you had them doing them about the beauty of a given state.
Right.
You know, a book on California, a book on Arizona. But nobody had taken a book like
made
the
it
Tongass
advocacy,
and put clear cuts next to old growth forest pictures. And publishers were saying things to me like, we can't sell this book if you do this.
People don't want to look at that.
Right. But the beauty of Aperture was that it was a non-profit publisher, and it was willing to publish a photographer's point of view, not a book that necessarily sold a lot of copies. And I convinced them that the environmental community would buy those copies, even if the generic public would not. So Aperture gambled with me, and then we had a massive response to the book, and I ended up with 3 editions and some 65,000 copies, which is huge for a picture book.
Right.
So we proved that whole premise wrong, and it allowed me to forge some headway with the idea of using pictures and picture books as tools for conservation.
I think your time had come. I mean, it was a timing thing.
And then I hear from the younger members of ILCP how, and it's very flattering to me, I had no idea that this was true, how when they were young photographers in college, they grew up on my Tongass book and my subsequent book called Overlooked in America.
How great is
that? And that it was inspiration for them to do something more purposeful with their work.
Joel Reynolds, he's the NRDC senior attorney. He hand-delivered 100,000 petitions to Mitsubishi in Tokyo, and 40,000 Biogems defenders sent email messages out. What do you think the best way for our viewing audience, for the public, to get involved and help stop the Pebble Mine to be built in Alaska?
Well, 3 really simple things. One is I have a Facebook fan page that is No Pebble Mine. So go to my fan page and sign on to the No Pebble Mine.
I'm going to do that. I didn't even know about that.
That allows you to at least follow all the news releases and everything else that I stream onto the fan page, so that you understand the argument, you understand who the players are, and you understand what's going on.
Got it.
Similarly, you can like and share and send it out to your friends. Then you can go to the Patagonia website and do the same thing, and you can go to the Natural Resources Defense Council's website.
Which is nrdc.org.
.org, and do exactly the same thing. That's really easy to do.
Yeah.
Then you can take it a step farther, and you could actually write your senators and your congressmen and tell them that you don't want to see this fishery destroyed and you want to see them come out against the Pebble Mine. And then you can write Governor Sean Parnell in Alaska and say you just think it's, as an American citizen, you think it's wrong to allow a Canadian company to come in and wreck an American industry like this. sense.
Okay. A lot of the petitions that I get from NRDC and so forth, they have the letter already written.
Yep.
All you have to do is click on.
Yep.
Technology's
Yep.
made it really easy to
Yep.
be involved. It's
That's
not laborious writing these long letters and putting stamps on and mailing them.
That's right. And yet, personal letters have more power. The politicians all recognize.
Interesting.
They all
Okay.
recognize that
So
it
still
is.
get the personal letters out there.
When they see those personal letters, it counts for hundreds of clicks.
Right.
And so when they get the click things and they see the sheer number of social media, it's awe-inspiring. There's no doubt about that. But when they get ranting personal letters saying, articulately written, saying this is a terrible misuse of American resources and we're concerned about food in the future, don't let this happen. That's a big deal.
Right.
And when it's a personal letter, that's a very big deal.
And when I write to Feinstein or Boxer or something like
Right.
that, they write back.
Yep,
And then I write them back and I say thank you, for
yes.
writing me back. Thank you for caring.
The personal letter carries a huge amount of weight even today in the political circles. So
That's
yes,
good
by
to know.
all means,
That's
click
good
and
to know.
send because
Click and
that's the easiest thing to do.
But also write that
but if
letter
you
with
feel
a little
like-
bit of your heart and your
Yes,
personal
yes,
feelings in it.
absolutely.
I totally agree. Okay. All right. So if anyone has information, you can go to my website, DeirdreWilson.com. You can reach Robert at robertglennketchum.com and nrdc.org. And on Facebook, you can get you at No Pebble Mine.
You can also get me personally at Robert Glenn Ketchum. So if you want to see my pictures and follow my own personal ravings,
then you can do that as
yeah.
well. We're a fun show. Okay, I'm Deirdre Wilson. This is Out of the Blue, and I hope that you'll make a difference. And we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Deirdre. Appreciate it.